in the semi-finals. There we go, down in the feature match area.
So this is Freaky Fish Guys again, and it says James Clark, but I believe that's wrong.
Yeah, it'll be Yanis Sakellis.
Yanis Sakellis. So Yanis Sakellis is playing Jund. So this will be another Freaky Fish Guys Jund match.
Yep.
And
so potentially a repeat of what we've just seen there.
Yeah. So Sam will be hoping to repeat the endeavour. Now, what do you think is most relevant in this match, and what do you think? What's the difference here? So Sakellis is playing a different list.
Only slightly though.
Yeah, that's right. Only slightly.
So it looks like Sakellis has that one Abbot of the Carol Keep, and he does have a main deck Grim Lavamancer.
So is he Roblox?
No, he's playing Jund. Also got so Huntmaster of Fell's Tasker and Scavengers all the same. But,
yeah, plenty of removal.
Very similar removal suite, although there's a murderous cut.
There is a murderous cut.
I think if Sakellis is on the play, it's the highest seed.
Yep.
If you can get a Grim Lavamancer into play, that will do him a lot of work.
It will, for sure. And he's got several fetch lands. He's got at least 2 fetch lands in his hand.
However, as we saw, the Merfolk deck is capable of just churning out threat after threat, each of which needs to be answered. And Sakellis won't have cards like Anger of the Gods. So that looks like an ideal start there from Sam Bentham, turn 1 Ether Vial. If Sakellis can get an early Tarmogoyf laying the smackdown, as it were, and put some pressure on, he might be able to at least make sure if he can put fish on the back foot, which I know is quite a hard thing, having just seen that Ether Vial come into play.
Yeah.
Bentham able to put in double the threats as of potentially turn 2. But I think that's going to be Sakellis' path to victory. A large Tarmogoyf backed up by a haven of removal.
Yeah, we certainly saw in the last match that removal by itself will not do the job, because Sam just has so much threat density in the deck that he can just keep drawing them out. But the threats are often fairly small. We're talking 2/2s with pump effects on them. So if
well, it's a strength in numbers thing.
It is, exactly. So if you can back up some removal with some good threats, then you're in good stead. So a couple of Lords of Atlantis in his hand there, it looks like.
He's got a. Does he have a Curse Catcher? He actually does have a Curse Catcher, so he can put that into play and max the number of threats on the table there. Yeah,
he might be wanting to do that in response to a removal spell.
Yeah. Bear in mind, Abrupt Decay can't be countered, and Lightning Bolt he can currently pay for.
That's right.
Just having a look at Sakellis' hand,
he does have a couple of Terminate in the deck, and
he's got 3 lands.
Right.
He's going to play Liliana. So
Liliana.
Not affected by Curse Catcher.
No.
Curse Catcher only hits instants of sorceries, so he can. So, like I said, this might.
But Liliana's being ticked down, and a great time to flash in a Curse Catcher and sacrifice.
Yeah. It's not working out how Sakellis had anticipated.
Indeed.
So
Sam just doing us a favour there, asking for a slightly larger die.
Yeah. So is Sakellis going to attack with his Scavenging Ooze because the Lord is likely not going to trade there?
Yeah,
so I imagine that it's quite possible that the Merfolk deck play another Lord, attack Liliana, Scavenging Ooze won't be able to trade profitably with it, and he'll lose his Scavenging Ooze anyway. And we see that unfold right now. Manus has assessed that the likelihood of another Lord coming down and ruining things for him. Liliana is potentially going away anyway.
That's right. So trading Liliana for Curse Catcher is not ideal.
No,
but,
certainly not.
And Spreading Seas.
Spreading Seas is... yeah.
It draws him a card, and he's got the Aether Vial to flash in.
It's also cut out a threat for later on.
That's true. But really, Sam just wants to put some more threats on the board. Deal with that Liliana this turn, really, which he can do.
Fairly easy.
And there we go.
Dispose of Liliana. I'm not yeah.
Second Aether Vial.
Well, yeah. So the second Aether Vial is usually not as effective as the
No,
first
that's
one.
certainly true.
One Aether Vial and lands is usually
What you want.
what you want. That will usually put out all your threats.
Definitely diminishing returns on those. So he's got a Mara Rougerie in hand and a couple of other cards. You see a Master of Waves.
Sakellis has just got a lot of land.
Really?
I can see he's flicking between two lands there, and he's got. Yeah, it's quite hard to make that there, unfortunately, but he's definitely got a few lands in his hand, and having Liliana removed at the expense of only a Curse Catcher is not quite where he wants to be. Also, his Manland's been taken out by that Spreading Seas, so
yeah.
he's running fairly threat light here. He's making the most of it though, getting in with that Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah. But we're going to see a 3-3 come into play here. And so it's going to bounce the Scavenging Ooze.
That's a fair amount of tempo lost there.
That is. Redeploying the Scavenging Ooze and then passing. So yeah, that's
without green mana to grow it.
Yeah.
That's not too good.
Sam there. Yep.
Takes up one of his Aether Vials and uses the
So that's Mara Rougerie being represented by that Aether Vial there.
So he can actually put the Rougerie into play and the Master of Waves. This is going to.
That's right. This is a big turn.
This is going to be huge for him.
He gets to tap the Scavenging Ooze with the Master of Waves once Rougerie's in play. Oh, but he's going to miss the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's going for surprise value there. All of his guys are bigger than the Scavenging Ooze.
That's true.
Anyway, so I would have been more inclined, although it is 6 guys.
It is 6 guys.
I would have been inclined to maybe get the 7th guy in. I mean,
they do have Island Walk, so he's not particularly worried about blocking, though the elemental tokens don't, of course. But
no, Sakellis is really far behind here.
Behind, absolutely.
So he needs to. First, he needs to kill the Master of Waves.
Yeah.
And it looks like all he can do is put down creatures that can't really block. Now,
so these life totals up to date?
I don't think so. I think
he took 3 damage last turn.
Took a hit from the Harbinger.
Yeah.
As well as his fetch land, so he should be on 16.
Yeah. So.
Or unless I'm missing anything else as well.
This looks like it. So that's end of turn Rougerie.
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage.
See. Yeah, so he could have gotten an extra damage and an extra guy if he had done that main phase.
Last time, yeah.
But going for slight surprise factor there, although I'm sure Yanis is not really surprised.
Taking the vial up to 3 does represent either having a Master of Waves in hand or a Rougerie. Because there are so many 2-drops in Merfolk, if you're taking it up past 2, it really says that you've got something.
Yeah, 2 and 3 is where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bentham draws for turn, but I think just getting in with all the guys.
Oh, he's not attacking with all the guys.
No, he's just attacking with the Harbinger and 6 guys.
6 2/2s. So the Harbinger can't be blocked, and that's a 4/4.
Mm-hmm.
So blocking 2 of the 2/2s means he's still taking 4, 8. So he's taking 12 here. Even if he blocks 2 of the elementals.
He can, yeah. Now, depending on how. So yeah, Sakellis has thrown his hands on the table. A bunch of lands.
Yeah.
No.
That's unfortunate.
So that looked like a super win there for
It did.
the Freaky Fish guys. Very, very far ahead all the way through, and like from my experience playing a green black base deck against the Merfolk, it's not that favourable. From my experience. I've not actually played Merfolk, but having seen this and experienced it myself, it's quite an uphill fight. So what kind
you
of
can see him looking at 2 Thragtusk there, putting those straight in
from his sideboard?
Yep, and I'm expecting that choke to go straight in. Sam is of course playing 11 islands, so
choke's very relevant.
Choke's pretty good. Sam is playing 2 of the Kamigawa lands, Aboro and the other one,
Minimo.
So we've just got word that James Clark on Robots has beat Thomas Ledbetter on Big Zoo. So that's a 2-0 win to James Clark. So we could be seeing a Merfolk Robots final.
Potentially, yes.
Which is exactly what Sam didn't want to hear, and exactly what
well,
James did.
He's got as far as the final.
Yeah, the final's a great place to be, for sure. Oh, though we are speaking a bit soon here, let's not count the chickens just yet. So we were talking about sideboards. Now, Pyroclasm, what do you think of that here? It's pretty good. Seems good as well.
Yeah. So it has the potential to take out multiple guys. Although it's notable that if two lords are on the field,
then
Pyroclasm's not going to be enough.
Nothing. Yeah.
On its own, anyway.
Taking out elemental tokens is useful. Putting in.
Yeah, but again, it unfortunately doesn't hit the Master of Waves.
That's right. It doesn't hit the Master of Waves, but leaving a Master of Waves is not the end of the world. The problem about Master of Waves for Jund is that Jund has so many 1-for-1 removal spells, and being able to just put in 5 or 6 creatures off one card is really a problem for Jund. So
yeah, they're overwhelmed by that quite easily. So yeah, you're
so
right. You'd settle for killing 6 elementals with Pyroclasm just to leave a Master of the Waves.
I think I would. Yeah.
So Sakellis can bring in. Definitely the choke. Pyroclasm could help. I think Anger of the Gods, because if you have the lords making each other 3/3s.
Yeah, you need 3 lords will do it there, but.
So you need 3 lords to make that effective, and it'll be a matter of whether Ioannis can capitalise on that, really, because I think we've seen twice now out of 2 individual games how redundant the Merfolk deck is, and how it can quite easily overwhelm these green-black decks, even in the face of all the removal that we saw in the last games. Ioannis there with, unfortunately, a land-heavy draw and not really able to to stop what looked like actually quite an optimal draw from the Merfolk deck.
But I've just noticed he's got 3 Kitchen Finks in the board as well, which seem like good cards to come in. The life gain and the double, like getting 2 blockers out of the one card, is again good. They'll usually trade with Merfolk as well.
They will. Unfortunately, I think Sam is going to keep all his spreading season.
That's right.
He's going to be looking to make as many islands as he can.
Right. Yeah. So double green is going to be a tough thing to cast.
Yeah. So the Kitchen Finks could buy him some time, but it could all be all for nothing if Sam gets one of his Island Walk Lords out and casts the Spreading Seas, which I'm sure he'll be looking to do.
Yeah.
So it looks like the players are still sideboarding there. And we've got the sideboards there on the screen. Excellent. So it looks like you're right. There's 3 Kitchen Finks. Did you say he was reaching for those Thragtusks?
Yes, yeah.
So they're potentially going to be bigger, but I think the same thing could be true by turn 5. There could quite easily be a Spreading Seas down on the battlefield.
There could, yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate that he's having to cut with his losses a little bit rather than having the optimal sort of answers to these pesky fish.
Now, Golgari Charm has a -1/-1 mode on it. That's good for elemental tokens, but perhaps not good for much else. I don't know if that's a good thing to be leaning on here. I would guess not.
Okay.
But
okay, so it looks like
we can go down.
Looks like they might be ready to start very, very soon.
You can see them there, shuffling up.
So Sam has presented his deck, and Ioannis presents his. I think Ioannis is gonna need quite a good draw to get out of this. There we go, very sporting.
Very good.
So let's see what we are looking at here.
So we've got a Cavern of Souls, we've got 3 islands, Spreading Seas in Sam's opening hand.
So Yanis has boarded in the kitchen finks, and he has the Anger of the Gods.
I think I also saw a Terminate there.
Terminate, but does he have the right number of lands or enough lands?
Does he have any threats in his hand as well?
So he's got an Inquisition. It looks like he's going to send it back.
Shipping it away.
Potentially only had 1 land.
Okay.
And those are very rarely
Very good
keeping.
hands, yeah.
Yeah, there's always the temptation, but I don't think you can.
Yeah.
On the play, you definitely can't.
Yeah, it's much worse on the play. There was a very good article on Channel Fireball recently by Frank Carston about mulligan maths and the decisions that go behind that, and knowing how many lands of each colour are in your deck and working out the odds and how many draws you have and that sort of thing is really important to do.
The important spells.
Exactly.
To be playing. Yeah, there's a lot, maybe a lot more than meets the eyes when you look at some cards.
Yeah. I know I've kept a couple of one-landers today with Serum Visions and managed to get there.
But sometimes you might not in the same scenario. Some games might
exactly
differently.
Exactly. It's you just got to play the odds, and on the draw versus on the play, that's a whole extra card you see.
Yeah.
Though of course the scry rule.
Yeah, so
scry mulligan coming in.
Yanis doesn't forget to scry.
It looks like he has forgotten to scry. That's a shame.
So start off with an Inquisition.
And that can't hit the Master of Waves, but we potentially are going to see it take the Spreading Seas here.
I think it's going to do that. So Sam's got a much slower hand this time. No turn one Ether Vial unless he draws one off the top.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's going to be able to hit land drops through 1 to 4.
At least, yep.
So does Yanis take the 2 mana threat, or does he take Spreading Seas? I can't see his full hand, but I would potentially be inclined to take the Spreading Seas.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, the amount of removal you have that you want to dedicate to smashing up Spreading Seas is much lower than what you can afford really when you're having to deal with 20 Merfolk, all of which, well, most of which make all the other Merfolk bigger. So Yanis potentially going to play out a fast land, but again passes. I imagine he's boarded out the Dark Confidence.
Right. Yes. Yeah. He's got a Huntmaster in his hand, and is that a Colgan's Command as well?
So Sam
maybe not.
Doesn't play the Harbinger. No, that was a Bloodstained Mire, not a Blackcleave Cliffs.
Right.
Yeah. No, I had a few people complain to me yesterday that Smouldering Marsh looks a lot like Bloodstained Mire.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
I mean, Blackcleave Cliffs is slightly different, but yeah, they at a distance they can trick you. So it looks like Overgrown Tomb there.
There are not many of the new Battle of the Zendikar lands in Modern today. We've seen them in Scapeshift, but
upstaged a bit by the original Ravnica lands.
Yes,
due to
a little bit.
Not having to worry about having lots of basics in the deck, basically.
That's right. Now, which name do you prefer, Tango lands or Battle lands?
I hadn't really actually thought about that much. I guess Battle lands is potentially clearer in case they print a similar mechanic, but they could also print another set that has the word battle in it that have lands.
Yeah. Okay, so we're seeing a Harbinger here.
So the Harbinger comes down. I'm surprised that didn't come down on turn 2. I don't know whether Sam was representing a trick, because now you see.
Oh, he's going to have to discard a card, but I imagine that's going to be an easy island. Yep.
Yeah.
So perhaps Sam was thinking if Sakellis plays a threat,
he can
bounce it. Yeah, but without playing Sakellis didn't play a threat, so
Sakellis can actually cast Tasker.
Yep, there we go. Very nice.
So this Tasker's quite big, and
Tasker's going to be very difficult for Sam to deal with.
Well, he's got a Dismember, and he's got the Vapor Snags, which potentially makes recasting Tassica a little bit harder, having delved the graveyard away.
Yeah.
But this is good for Sakellis.
It's very good for him, yeah.
Because Sam doesn't actually have any Merfolk on the table. He hasn't played the Master of Waves for one, because it doesn't match up very well at all against Tassica.
No, it doesn't.
And Sakellis has the initiative at the moment. So he gets in for 4 there. We'll see if...
And here's great, another Harbinger.
He's got another Harbinger to ruin things for Ioannis there.
Now, Ioannis doesn't have another land in hand, is that right? He's got a Lightning Bolt, Kitchen Finks,
and an Anger of the Gods. So
and I think a Huntmaster as well.
Right.
Now, so he's not going to be casting that Tassica again anytime soon.
It doesn't look like he's going to be casting much. He might bolt the Harming straight away, but I would be
just to do something.
Yeah, get it off the board. Ideally, you want to save them for the Lords, because it's kind of done its job already, doing the bouncing, and the Lords are the ones that threaten to make the whole team bigger.
Yeah.
Curse Catcher, a bit of an underwhelming draw for Sam.
I think he's had that in hand for... Oh, he's got triple Master of Waves. That is a big hand. He's really trying to slow roll those, get as many tokens out of them as possible.
Get as much value as possible.
I think he's just thinking that going wide around the spot removal is the way to go against Jund.
Yeah,
and I think that's a good call.
At the moment.
Yes, that's unfortunate.
Which is
Does he have 2 red sources?
No.
What's that middle land?
It's
that's an overgrown tomb, yes.
So he's got one of each.
So that Anger of the Gods is not going to work out for him. But this is a Lightning Bolt on the Curse Catcher, just to reduce the number of tokens.
So yeah.
And he's going to sacrifice it in response. You may as well.
Make him pay the mana.
Although, do you pay the mana there if it's being sacrificed?
Well. So, has he drawn another Kitchen Finks?
He has,
cast?
Yeah.
This is actually quite unfortunate.
That's very unfortunate.
And it looks like his draw, it's just not working. He started off reasonably well, and...
Yeah, and that's a Mutavault for Sam. So, Sam's got a Lord of Atlantis, and he's got to be thinking now, do I want to deploy the Master of Waves and use as much mana as I can, or do I want to play the Lord of Atlantis and get more tokens out of the Master of Waves? So he's going for the Master of Waves here, which is just the most mana efficient.
Yeah, exactly. He's not under any pressure.
No, that's right. And to be fair, the second Master of Waves pumping the original token is a big deal as well. It's worth
the same amount of damage, isn't it? That particular turn.
That's right. Because the Lord will pump the Master, and the Master will pump the Elemental. So Tarmogoyf looks just a little bit too little, too late, really.
The Freaky Fish Guards are
That's
going
a
wide.
Second Lord of Atlantis.
I think he's going to just play the Master on the merit of...
I think that's right, yeah. These tokens being huge.
And reasonably indispensable.
Yeah.
Although we could see a Lord. It depends what he wants to play around, really.
Yeah, so Sakellis, unbeknownst to Sam, does have Anger of the Gods in hand. So this is playing into Anger of the Gods more than the Master of Waves plan, but it's
to be fair,
but it's still a pretty significant clock. I don't think it's going to.
Yeah, I don't think the life totals are. I think Sam Sam made an attack with his Master of Wave tokens.
Right.
So I don't think Ioannis is at 19, and I think this is unless Ioannis actually draws a big game changer.
Yeah. And of course, that Mutavault is both an Elemental and a Merfolk, so it's getting pumps all over the place.
Yeah. So we'll see. There's a lot of damage coming in there. Something like a 5/3 Mutavault?
Yeah, that sounds right. 5/3 Mutavault.
So it looks like you took 11 damage that turn, and yeah.
Oof, that's
so
rough.
Yeah,
so even Anger of the Gods does not save him here. Or actually, Anger of the Gods would leave Sam with 2 Master of Waves in the Mutavault, which is enough. Yeah. And so Sakellis,
unable to cast any spells, concedes.
There we go.
That was quite an unfortunate draw for Sakellis there.
That's very unfortunate for Sakellis, yeah.
But a tough matchup.
A tough matchup, and Sam is in the finals against robots.
So, yeah.
Discussing the merits and follies of Master of Waves there.
Yeah, he had 3 Master of Waves, and his opponent didn't have the removal or the threats or even the lands. I think that was just all round.
I think it was the lands that was the biggest stumbling block for Sakellis, missing so many land drops and just being unable to play the spells. And that combined with, as you say, with playing so many Master of Waves just meant that Sam managed to get way too far ahead.
Well, yeah, Sakellis stopped making land drops after turn 3.
Yes,
and without that,
Yeah.
without the right colours to play spells,
Yeah.
really suffered from that. So yes, robots versus Merfolk in the final.
Yeah. And I think there was only one Merfolk deck here today.
Is Sam the only Merfolk
Sam is
player?
the only Merfolk player here today, and taking it all the way to
Bringing
the
it home
final.
for the Freaky Fish guys. There were,
Freaky Fish guys.
I don't know if I mentioned before, but like robots, a deck that I sort of anticipated seeing a lot of play. Only 3 players played that.
Yeah, that's right.
And James has pushed his way through to the finals.
Yeah, he's been playing robots for a very long time. He's very familiar with the interactions and the Arkban Ravager math.
Yeah, that's going to be a help if anything. Robots is quite a tricky deck to play with.
Yeah.
I've played against it a lot, but myself I've probably played maybe only once, and I found it's all those counters.
Yeah.
Working out how you can get max damage each turn, and there's different ways to do it because of course cranial plating.
Of course.
You want loads of artifacts. Ravager, you want to sacrifice your artifacts.
Yeah, there's a
Working out
tension there.
which order, whether it's worth going all in on an Inkmoth Nexus or not in order to win the game based on what you've got in your hand. It can be really tricky.
Absolutely.
But then again, it can dump its hand on turn 1 and you have an unbeatable draw because you've just played 7 cards and your opponent hasn't done anything.
Yeah. There are a few decks in the format where if you just draw the right 7, you can't really lose. And
potentially, but there's always sideboard cards and sideboard hate.
There are, and so we've got the deck lists for this robots versus Merfolk matchup. And I know that Sam was saying, as I said earlier, that he was really dreading this matchup. So he's not going to be happy to see it in the final, but he does have a nod to it in his sideboard. He's got the 4 Hercules recall. And,
4 Hercules recall.
4 Hercules recall.
Well, at least he's respecting its presence and
Yes.
potentially making sure that he doesn't automatically fall to it. I'm just looking through the deck lists here. We get that deck list off James Clark. It doesn't look like we've actually
don't think we
had it
have,
at the moment, unfortunately. We'll see if we
plenty
can
of time for that.
But we do have plenty of time while the players get themselves ready.
Right.
All of 5 minutes. Okay.
So we'll get to adverts now and see you soon for the final.